Hi friend, today I would like to share with you about topic of directive. What does directive mean? Something that serves to direct, guide, and usually impel thoughts and action of goal, especially government. An authoritative order or instrument issued by high-level body or official or presidential directive. What are directives in programming? In computer programming, a directive or pragmatics is a language construct that specifies how a compiler or other translator should process its input. Directives are not part of grammar or programming language and may vary from compiler to compiler. What is the example of directive? If your boss put you in charge of managing a project, this is an example of when you are in directive role. A directive is defined as an order or an official instruction. When your boss orders you to call a lion, this is an example of a directive. What is directive behavior? What is directive leadership? Each one of our leadership behavior that set clearly defined objective and rule for team members. Under directive leadership, manager must guide employee work goal and establish the path by which they can achieve their goal. What is the purpose of directive? A directive is a legal act of European Union which requires member states to achieve a particular result without dictating the meaning of achieving that result. It can be distinguished from regulation, which self-executing and do not require any implementing measure. How do you become a directive? Five basic principles use directive communication. Number one, pay attention. No one is waiting in standby mode for you to come along and start talking to them. Number two, make sure the communication channel is clear. Number three, keep simple and specific. Number four, check for understanding. Number five, follow up. Who is directive leader? Directive leadership involves a leader giving clear direction, objective, and expectation to employees. Directive leadership is probably the most effective when a task is complex and an employee are unskilled or inexperienced. What happens if a directive is not implemented? Confusingly, directives are not directly effective and they cannot be used in court until they have been enacted by national legislation. If a state fails to implement a directive within the time given by the European Union, when an individual can take the state to the court for non-implementation. What is directive decision making? Directive decision making. Their decisions are rooted in their own knowledge, experience, and rationale. Rather than going to order for more information, the upside to style in decision making is quick, ownership is clear, and it doesn't require extra communication. A directive directly applicable. European Union, GD, and regulation are directly applicable, and they come into force without any action or any part of member state. Contrastingly, European directives are not directly applicable, as a member state must implement national legislation before the right deadline in order to give effect to them. What is indirect effect or directive? Indirect effect arise from the failure of member states to implement a directive, either correctly or at all. But where direct effect cannot apply because the party against whom the directive is sought to be aimed for is a private entity or otherwise fail to meet the condition which would give directive direct. What is the difference between regulation and directive? Regulation have binding legal form throughout every member state and enter into force on a set date in our member state. Directive laid out certain results that must be achieved, but each member state is free to decide how to transpose directive into national law. A directive allowed in the U.S., a presidential directive or executive action is a written or order instruction or declaration issued by the President of the United States, which may draw upon the power vested in the President by the U.S. Constitution. Statutory law, or in certain cases, congressional and judicial acquisition. Remember, subscribe to see the next video. Thank you.